Welcome back to another.
Saudi
No.
Cup.
Welcome back. Welcome first.
Welcome first. First.
No, not first. Fourth.
Fourth.
Welcome forth. Welcome forth.
Welcome
Come
forth. Come forth.
And
Come on.
welcome to our special recap episode for My School President, the GMMTV 2022 to 2023 instant. Oh, it started in 22. Started December of 22.
Wow.
Instant classic. High school, enemies to lovers, musical extravaganza.
And how was this? How did we choose this show, Adam?
We chose it on our page. Well, we didn't.
The Bobs did.
The Bobs did. Our Bob
Bobbianas.
level on Patreon chose the show for us to watch along with them, and then we were gonna oblige them with a recap of all of our thoughts at the very end.
May we present to you.
As always, you know what?
Who are you?
I'm Gunn.
Yeah.
And you're Tinn. No, actually,
No,
I think
you're
I'm
Tinn. You're
I'm
the
Tinn.
rule follower.
I am the rule follower.
And I'm like the rebel.
Nope. You're Kajurgle.
No, I'm not Kajurgle. I'm Mark. I'm Tewson. Yes, I'm Tewson.
You don't want to be poor?
No, because he barely did anything, girl. That's going to be a point of contention.
That's what we'll talk about.
Yes.
So before we can even get into My School President, we have to do a brief summary of what the show is.
Yes.
So My School President is a show that started on December 2nd, 2022. It ran through February 24th, 2023. It was such an instant hit. It had 11 fan meetings. It won 3 different awards and was the #1 trending finale on
Oh my God.
in Thailand, Malaysia, and multiple Asian countries.
Wow.
At the time.
I didn't know that.
It was crazy.
She was a true moment.
I remember this show was happening concurrently because I had just started getting into BL in December of 2022.
Yes, that was famously the Choco Milkshake incident.
Yes, the great Choco Milkshake incident.
Incident in our lore where Adam watched Choco Milkshake and could not stop thinking about it.
Nope, couldn't. Isn't it crazy? Do you think it's crazy? Do you think people think I'm crazy that Choco Milkshake is what brought me to
got you
BL?
into BL?
But I think that tells you more that I was like primed and ready to love it immediately.
Yes, like if this was the concept that got you in, honey, you've got a big storm coming.
You got a big storm coming. Tinn is played by Gemini. He is the titular. He's the titular role.
He's the titular role.
Gunn is 4th. He's the leader of the high school music club. Win plays Winnie. That is a completely original name for him. We love that. Who is also in the band. Mm-hmm. Sound is played by Satang, who is also in the band but comes into it a little bit later because he's like super famous.
Yes, he's like a well-known guitar player.
Yeah,
coming in.
Poor is played by Ford, who's also in the band. Tewson is played by Mark, who is on the student council.
Yes,
with
kind of like his right-hand man,
with
his
Tinn.
wingman, really.
Mm-hmm. Pat is played by Prom. Yo is played by Captain. They're both in the band. Then we have Kajorn, who's played by On. I think AUN is what I wrote. Girl, I gotta work on my handwriting.
On.
I'm gonna say On, and someone's gonna say that's wrong, and I'm gonna say sorry. He's also in the student council.
Yes.
He's kind of like a sad sack. He's kind of a bitch.
But gets a moment right at the end.
Tinn's mom, who is the school president.
Yes.
The
actual school president.
The principal,
Director.
basically. She is played by Tao. Tinn's father is played by Go. Gunn's mom, who owns the cafe near the school, is played by Lukwa. And
Come on, Lukwa.
The homophobic teacher who shows up in the last episode is played by Kunnot. And Yak, who is like the former leader of the band from the year before and comes in for another episode in episode 9, he is played by Lotte.
Wow.
Now, if I got any of these names wrong, I do apologize. I should have definitely double checked, but I trusted my gut. Here's the T. Here's the
What's the
overarching
plot? Yeah.
plot.
What's the overarching plot?
The school band, the music club, which has the band called Chinchilla, which is it's cat ears, but it's in the realm, okay? They have like debased the school last year by causing a fight at Hot Wave, which is like Battle of the Bands in Thailand.
Yeah.
And the new principal has decreed that any club has to like bring honor to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, she's on the chopping block.
Yeah.
So Tinn, who is in love with Gunn and had a crush on him for like 2 years, decides to run for school president so that he can save the music club. So then potentially maybe down the road he can like start dating Gunn. Okay? That's the setup. And chaos ensues. Okay? They end up together.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
It's a happy ending.
It's a happy ending.
So check this one off, honey.
I have a list of topics. I think we should touch on all of them. I think they were the big things that happened or we remarked upon that we should talk about.
We can just go down the list.
Okay. First one I wrote is brain tumor. Do you want to start there or do we want to just see what else is on the list?
Was that you were trying to list out the things and that was the first thing that came to mind?
The first one was Hot Wave.
Okay,
but we kind of already said hot.
Yeah. But
well,
like,
not really.
The full Hot Wave of it all is, yes, bring honor to us all, full Mulan opening scene.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, the first, I want to say 8, 9, I guess 10 episodes is just... what is this week's challenge to prove us to get closer to like that we can win Hot Wave?
Correct. Yes, it is episode 10 when they do the Hot Wave Championship to Glory or whatever.
There's like, sectionals to regionals to Hot Wave.
Right.
That they go through.
And if you're a Gleek, you already know.
Yeah.
You're very familiar.
So it starts as like opportunities where Tinn has to kind of like save an act of saving them. So like, they're failing in class and they're about to get their club is about to end if director says like you're not passing the upcoming exam. So Tinn like tutors them. It's always to the service of like they have to get to Hot Wave. They have to win Hot Wave to honor, but also the club rule, the one club rule, which is no one can date
until they win Hot Wave.
That was the big kerfuffle. Last year, there was a lover's quarrel.
There was a lover's quarrel that incited the bad incident.
That incited a riot at Hot Wave.
Basically, yeah. So in order to mitigate that, nobody can date in the club.
No one can date while you're in the club.
Which is not ideal for someone who wants to date the leader of the club.
Yes.
And I don't mean Mickey Mouse. Anything else about Hot Wave? They don't win. Spoiler alert. Whoa.
Guys.
Spoiler alert. If you've not seen My School President, we're going to be talking
all
of My School President.
We're talking all of My School President right now. So wait and go watch all of My School President and then come back.
Okay.
Are you back?
They don't
win Hot Wave.
They don't win Hot Wave.
They don't win Hot Wave.
As you just saw because you just watched all 12 episodes. They do not win Hot Wave.
But it's interesting because in this episode, they play out like dream scenarios that he keeps thinking that he won, and he has a dream that he did win, but
in
then
episode
he didn't.
11, yes.
But it's so vague that at first I was like, we thought they did win, but then it was all about like, now what?
Well, heading to it, I was like, I don't think they're gonna win. I don't think the show is gonna let them win.
Yes,
not that
it's not about Hot Wave.
Yes, correct. It's not about that.
Yeah.
And that they needed to realize was that.
Because it was the friends they made along the way.
Well, because really, Gunn is played by Fourth, as I already said. His whole deal is that he doesn't really believe in himself.
Yeah.
And I think it's very smart that they don't have him win so that he can get the encouragement to be like, you're going to fail
You're going to fail.
And it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you have to keep going because that's what it means to be an artist.
Yeah.
So they don't win Hot Wave. So they go in episode 11 to go pray to the temple and apologize for...
Adam's favorite episode. Okay. Actually, no, this is your second favorite episode because your favorite episode is episode 9. Obviously.
I think 9, 10, and 11 are the 3 weakest episodes of the show.
Yeah, let's start low so that way we end
low
high.
So we can go high.
Yeah. When they go low, we go high.
Yeah. So the show, I think, is really strong through the first 8 episodes.
Totally.
It's very fluffy. So if you're a person who doesn't love fluff, this probably isn't the show for you generally.
Yeah.
But I have a sweet tooth, so this is like confection.
Adam made
to
a
me.
full tub of chocolate mousse in the past like week. So
I feel like you didn't need to bring that up.
about like 2 quarts full.
It was not that big. You're an absolute monster. You're so mean to me. So I think that's all great.
Yeah.
I think that they pretty much do everything really well through the first 8 episodes.
Yeah.
We get to episode 9, which is the classic Thai BL.
Let's
we go, to the
beach.
water. Let's go to
Yes.
the water. Let's return to the beach.
Yeah.
Because we are trying to sell the beach to the people who live outside of Thailand so they will come visit our beautiful
to the
beaches in our country. And this is where we run into the classic GMMTV problem, which is we have too many episodes and we don't know what to do with all of them.
We got to stretch it out.
We have to stretch it out.
Yeah.
And I think the Tin Gun situation is interesting because they actually get together pretty early in the show.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of like a couple by like episode, I think like 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just don't kiss for
Yeah.
a really long time.
Yeah,
Until the final episode,
Yeah.
they do not kiss. So then there's this kind of like, we're just elongating everything in order to get to A, Hot Wave has to happen, and then B, we have to get to the finale. In the interim, they raise up a B couple.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start watching the show, there's something about, okay, listen, I'm biased.
Yeah.
So Mark Packin is like,
Your
love of my life,
your one true love.
my one true love, my soulmate, my one and only.
Yeah.
So I'm predisposed to like anything he does. I think the show really pushes him as the secondary the
wingman.
lead, I would say, to Tinn.
Yeah.
On that side of the
Yes.
of the world, which makes sense. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Wait, I'm trying to remember. Okay, Bad Buddy. Technically, Bad Buddy's second couple was the GL, but their secondary friend, it was Drake and Jimmy.
Drake and Jimmy, yes.
But they were fighting. It's Mercutio and
Tybalt. Yeah.
But they kind of like are forced to be friends, and like it's more of like a friendship.
Yes, there's
couple,
no.
right?
Yes, there's no. Correct.
Yeah.
They don't. Bad Buddy is different in that not everyone turns out gay.
Yes.
Just the main couple and then the girls.
Yeah.
Which slay.
Slay.
This goes with the more classic kind of everyone's realizing they're gay, which is also a slay.
Yeah.
But I think for us at watchers of the show, I don't think Sound Win worked. Totally.
Yeah, there were elements of it that I'm like, okay, they are playing more in the trope of enemies to lovers, right? Because like the enemies to lovers that is Tin Gun is more, well, one already is in love with the other person.
The enemies to lovers of Tin Gun is episode 1, and then it's done.
And then it's done because there's a hidden agenda.
Correct. Which I think is executed actually perfectly.
I think so too.
That
I think so
turn
too.
from episode 1 to episode 2 is like a masterpiece.
Because you're immediately
Incredible.
hooked and
It's
you're like
incredible.
not questioning it. Like you're like, oh, that whole first episode was an act.
Yep. It's so
good.
It's so good. It's so
really,
good.
I cried that first episode.
Yeah.
Because the switch of realizing that he's been in love with him this entire time, I was like, it broke my brain.
We have multiple episodes that we could set up Sound Win, and I think they try to.
They tried to, but it felt like I was like, oh, I could read into that's a BL, that's the second couple. But like, while watching it, I was like, man, I think they're just doing the Bad Buddy thing where it's like they're the main antagonists for each other that'll kind of drive Tin and Gun apart because they are the ones that are like they keep making the club dysfunctional.
Yeah. So
because they were playing the whole thing of like, oh, Sound and Tin knew each other. That I was like, oh, are they exes or whatever? And then they never went back to it.
They
like,
just were like very popular, and so because of that, they like
butt heads or whatever.
Butted heads, yeah. But so I think for me, as I look back at the Sound Win of My School President, I think in the end I get on board for the most part.
Yeah.
I think the struggle is like I don't think they're clearly. I think this show really has a problem with defining the friend characters.
I know.
Because because Tinn and Gunn are so well defined.
Yeah.
And they get so much time on screen to like bake in that chemistry, which I think is like enigmatic and like easily palpable, and they do such a good job in the show.
Yes. Like they can stand in a scene, they can just be standing, and you're like, oh, I feel who you are, given circumstances,
yes.
why you're here, what are you doing?
And also how much they like each other, and all of it. That
the
I think the friends fall by the wayside.
Feel very stock, but not even like playing stereotypes. They're just like,
which is so
friend
weird,
1, friend 2, friend 3.
Because Mark, Poor, and Tucson feel like the two of the friends that have the most defined
characteristics. Yeah. Even though, like, I mean, Sound and Win, right? Like, Sound is like, oh, he is the best, so he's kind of like got an elitist feeling to him, and then Win is like a full fucking hothead, so like that he just runs with it.
Yeah.
But even then, it just doesn't feel 3-dimensional.
No.
Mark, even though like Tucson, even though it's a basic character,
correct,
because he's very charming actor.
Yeah.
It feels like there's like, oh, I feel like I know this guy.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is that because Win and Sound both have like negative energy.
Yeah, they kind of nag each other. And that's kind of like what they're running us like. That's actually what makes us a couple. Because we kind of like
thing. But it's really hard to like nail that.
It's hard to nail that, and also as the secondary couple.
Yeah, you need a lot of time to make that work.
Yeah.
And you have to both be really charming in order to do it. Because like it can come off so neggy that it's like, it
gets tiring.
Yeah. And I think I got a little bit of that more than I got like excitement around them.
Yeah, because they had to do more time at the end in those episodes you said where it's like it kind of needs to slow down for Tinn and Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
That like we ramp this Win Sound a little bit more, and it's like I don't know if I want all of this right now with so much.
Yeah,
you know,
I think that's probably my biggest critique of the show. I would say is like the elongation of the show probably should have been
10
or 8 episodes.
I think because it's comedy and like it's a specific goal of Hot Wave, I think the shorter is better sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think too with a simpler plot like fluffier, this, yeah, there's not as much to really delve into. Yeah. I mean, if you think about the fact that like Itse, which had 5 episodes, each of them obviously were an hour and a half, so that's a ton of time.
Yeah.
These toward the end got to be like 75 minutes long.
Yeah, they got longer.
And I think, while I really did enjoy the show.
Yeah.
By and large, I would say if I was giving it like an actual rating, like a letter grade, it would be like a B, B plus.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
like I think it genuinely is one of the better ones, and it is carried fully on the backs of Gemini Fourth.
I know they just.
I think there's a lot of good work being done overall, but I think they really are just like so charismatic.
The last thing I'll say about Win Sound is we also did watch the 2 Our Sky episodes.
We did.
And for some reason, it works better
for me.
I was like, wait, I think I like Win more as the Sound character and Sound more as the Win character.
Maybe it's because I was anticipating it for Our Sky. Yeah. So I was like looking out for it. Whereas like one of the problems I had with Sound Win was like, it almost felt like it was like, I was like, because it basically really gets into it when they get to the filming of the music video episode.
Yes, and
that's when you're like, oh, they're trying to push this, and that's when I was like, is that what they're doing?
I guess
because the previous.
I know
because they have the rap battle.
Yes, well, they have a rap battle, and he like defends him or whatever.
Does he? I mean, that whole sequence, I was like, this cannot be happening.
The rap battle was I didn't need it.
No.
Really didn't need it. No.
But I think that could have been more effectively used to set up whatever that was going to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it was just so subtle that I just didn't pick up on it. But
well, I think we're supposed to connect because he blames himself for not winning Hot Wave, even though when like in the big fight in the temple,
oh my god,
he's like, yeah, Gun, you're the reason why we lost. It's because he's projecting.
He's fully projecting.
That it's because he didn't practice hard enough or he's not talented enough. I think we're supposed to connect that like he thought that he's probably a pretty decent rapper and did this thing and fully bombed.
Yeah.
And then like was just a sourpuss the entire show.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked. I was like, but for some reason when they switched in Our Sky, Sound being more of this like Win hot-headedness, for some I was like eating it. I thought it was so funny.
Yes.
And so maybe they're just more matched in those characters, like the actors specifically, or these characters just, I don't know, need a little bit more. Like if there's a little bit more urgency in Win's character, I think it would have paid off. Because I think Sound ended up doing well.
I think Satang sold Sound for me more than Winnie sold Win, but I think that's more of the writing of Win's character.
Yeah.
Because they are trying to differentiate them from Tinn and Gun by being like, oh, they're a little bit more hesitant.
Yes.
They're not like in love with each other.
Yes. Tinn Gun is like they're all about helping each other, even though Gun at first is like, why is the school president helping me as much? But their relationship is built on they're trying to help each other.
Yeah.
Win and Sound, that's not weird.
Well, they don't have a basis of a relationship, and that's why it's a little hard to be like, well, what? Because like, there's no moment where Satang tells like he on the beach he like says like he likes Winnie or whatever, or he likes Win.
Gun, yeah.
And like, but that's like episode 9.
Yeah,
12.
I know.
We're
like,
so deep into this.
Yes.
And
we're about to wrap up, and now you're
like,
just saying this?
Hey, by the way, I do like someone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish it worked better for me. I think they were like a lot of people were very pleased with them while the show was airing. And I like the two of them.
I like the two of them a lot. Yeah.
But I don't think that storyline worked out.
Because right at the end, like episode 12, and I know we'll talk about the finale. That's the last thing we'll probably talk about because we'll spend that next hour. But they really worked at the end for me. That I'm like, okay, this is the chemistry that I wish they sowed the seeds a little better.
Yeah, totally. I think that it seems like the show had this idea that they were going to do a tertiary couple, and it was going to be Tucson. Yeah. And it just doesn't come to fruition at all.
It just feels like there was footage that just disappeared. Because there are some scenes where they act like they are together. Or at least like,
well, there are specific scenes that set the two of them up alone.
Yeah.
Which is like the only reason you're doing that would be to set up anything, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, like Eating Alone.
Our Sky 2, the 2 episodes really lean in on like...
they're like the frame device, basically. It's like,
it's great.
We've actually been dating this entire time, and we need to get them together so we can finally date.
Do you think that would have helped the show if that
was actually in My School President?
Could it have been really cool if Poor and Tucson had been together the whole time and they were trying to like machinate everybody into like doing like everyone had basically the plot of our Sky 2 but it
would be cool because then they could have done it for all the couples and it could have been funny that like, oh, and then Pat is just by himself. I don't know if that works better as the novelty of the 2-episode Our Sky
yeah, I don't know
format,
if in 12 episodes it would be like, all right, this is a lot.
But I don't think it would have hurt them
to do a third couple.
Just add a third couple.
No, I don't think so at all. Especially because all 3 couples, I will say,
serve the purpose of the music club. Oh, realizing that this rule is stupid or whatever,
right?
You know,
and that they're all so different. Like the energies from the 3 couples are so completely not the same at all.
I really thought they were going to start something in the beach episode.
I did too,
because Tucson was brought in as like, oh, I'll like be your backup or whatever, and then he ends up being like, I'm gonna choreograph this thing, and like Ford was the only one who could actually dance. It was really cute.
Listen, Mark has chemistry with a house plant.
Yeah, literally.
Thank you. Say that,
Jesus.
Queen.
That's why he's one of their go-to guys.
Just to put him with anybody.
Just to put him with anybody.
Well, now he's at home.
And now he's finally nailed one.
Yeah. And then he'll be
nailing him, yeah.
Me.
Oh. Okay.
The pursuing of art. Because I actually loved this aspect of the show.
It was very subtle.
It was. And I don't think, listen, the episode 11 argument was a lot, and I don't know if I love just giving actors the freeway to just improv an entire scene. But listen, I think overall,
yeah,
I think like the idea of like Gunn has this like thing that's blocking him, and that the show really is about him being an artist.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't shy away from the fact that it's like,
is this something that you actually you think you can do after all of this small bubble we're in the music club?
Right. It actually did really remind me of Itse in that like kind of pursuit of something that is so intangible.
Yeah.
Like, intangible? Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just say talk.
Because really the greatest aspect of the show is that it's a fucking musical.
Yes.
Which gag
me, bitch.
Gag me,
and at
bitch.
first we were like, okay, so it's a musical, but it's more like they utilize music.
They're just performing.
They're performing.
Yeah.
And then Gunn's mom is like, I've always believed in you, blah, blah, blah. I just want you to like do it. And
it happens before this. He has the
prom dance scene
in his head.
Well, first, yes. Technically it is practicing for an exam, and then goes into a dream sequence. So we were like, oh, okay, first musical thing, like true musical thing.
A dream sequence is so musical theater, guys. I can't.
And then full non-diegetic. It's like a music video.
She steps
right?
up to the microphone to sing a song in actual space of the restaurant that they are in, and I was like, oh,
and God. Then it goes away. Like she is just singing as he's like getting up in bed, like you know, going through the day, and I was like, oh, it's a musical.
Which I think that scene is incredible.
I was in tears.
It's so good.
This is I literally came out of the show thinking that these moms are probably so good.
They're
one of the best.
So good. They're so perfectly cast, and I loved seeing them switch in Our Sky 2 because it's like an alternate universe version. But they are so perfectly cast in their original roles. I love. Oh, there's
perfectly
so many
cast
things
and
I love
really
about
well
the show.
Written. Like.
So
it doesn't
written.
feel like the writing is overboard. I mean, yes, she has a brain tumor, but she gets through it, and it ends up me being more of like a life lesson of like, we will have things and then we just get through them, but that doesn't mean you have to stop your dreams. Like she's like, I learned my lesson. I will get this done, but that does not mean your life has to stop because we'll work this out. You know.
Yeah.
And I loved that the director, her entire story carries her through the end. And it's really like her big act of finally standing up for Tinn.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I literally, she was my favorite character of the whole show.
Well, here's what I love. I love that they set her up as an antagonist, but they do not villainize her as a character.
It's never about like, well, I don't like Gunn. It's always like, he's not a good student.
He's not a good influence.
He's not a good influence.
It's all very like, I'm a mother.
Yes.
Like, it's like very classic parent energy, but she just also happens to be the principal of the school, so she has like more power, basically. Right. But she doesn't wield it uncharacteristically.
No.
She doesn't like, I really think this show treats her so fairly, and like, while she is like, you never want to see her coming and they constantly have to hide from her, there's a lot of like that, like just
classic school
stuff.
Yeah.
But I think they don't make her like a bitch, which they could easily do.
Totally.
And there were a couple times that I was like, oh no, are they
I was
going
getting
down
there.
That road?
They never
did.
They
really don't ever do that. They really just are making her like, she follows all the rules. She doesn't like to sing, right? Like she's kind of like the town in Footloose or whatever. But
it comes from Tinn going to like a school recital or whatever, and like
her
having
not being there, and she forgot his words and cried all night or whatever. Yeah. It smartly comes from a real thing.
Yeah.
And I think her realization in the back end of the show, which is, oh fuck, my son's gay, because Gunn's mom, he comes out to her and she's like, slay, we love that.
Yeah.
Like,
love what you love.
That's like the parent
Yes.
Every gay child wants to have that coming out story and then be like, I love that. I love you. Thank you for telling me.
Well, technically so Tinn is the one that helps Gunn's mom go to the hospital because he happened to be there.
Yeah.
And like, he's the one that tells Gunn's mom that like, yeah, I've actually had a crush on your son this entire time and I've helped him in all these ways.
Yeah.
So it's almost
but it's
like
still Gunn at the end tells her like we're dating.
Yes. But there is a really nice thing. I liked that I think to contrast, to further drive you away from Tinn's mom of like, we don't know how she's going to react ultimately, by her being like, telling Gunn like it's okay to go for it, like go to Tinn because he really likes you.
Well, we talk about this often when we talk about BLs on this channel, is that like there sometimes feels like some BLs, and this is like a trope in BLs, is that they exist in a world where like these things just happen. We're not in the real world where like there are consequences of like being gay or coming out. Like we're in this like utopia universe where people just I thought that was where we were.
Yeah.
So, totally. But there were, as I'm looking back, there were hints that like, oh, because like Tinn was early on scared to tell his mom about like being into Gunn or whatever. Yeah. And I think at the time I was like, oh, it's because she doesn't like the music club or whatever.
It's because he's
like,
school president.
It's also partly because he's worried she's not going to have a good reaction to finding out that he's gay. So this turn at the end where she has this come to realization, Tinn never officially comes out to her. Yeah. She accepts it on her own through this amazing father figure. Hands down, best father figure I've ever seen in a
Best
BL.
Father Award.
No, that's not true. Stay With Me. I got to get Stay With Me. Stay With Me still is the best dad. But right up there. Very close. And like works through it, and you realize that her sadness, and it's not sadness, but it's like her worry, her concern is based in the fact that Tinn's life is simply just going to be harder.
It's going to be harder.
The world is not kind to gay people.
Yeah.
It is not a moral thing about who he is or anything like that. It's just her parental concern. And I was like, it's such a brilliant, and I think that is often, that reaction, which is not the reaction you as a gay person want. I can tell you, if my mom did not have that reaction, but if she had, I wouldn't have wanted it. Yeah. Like that's not, you just want to hear it's okay, I love you.
Yeah.
And anything that diverts from that path is not ideal. But I still think there is a way to show this and show kids like, because that's who's watching this, right? Like kids. Yeah. Show kids like, hey, your mom might be just, maybe her concern,
maybe she's scared,
is that she's worried about you.
She's worried, yeah.
And like, is that putting a really rose-colored glasses on a situation of idealizing like people not having the greatest reaction to coming out? Sure. But is it also really happening in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So I felt like I was really happy that that's where they went with her character.
Yes, I totally agree. Because it started with, even before she realized that, oh, he might be interested in someone and is actually secretly dating someone. It's just like, I'm setting him up to be like a doctor or whatever, and he chose not to do it. It's the realization like, oh, I can't actually dictate what he should do in his life.
It's children growing up. Yeah.
It starts there of like, I have to come to terms with that he is going to start making his own decisions for himself.
Well, she has the same realization that Gunn's mom has in episode 3, because that's Gunn's mom's whole song is like, I love you so much, I have to like learn how to let you go.
Yeah.
And she just has that in episode 12.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's that is what happens to parents during this time of their children's lives.
Yeah.
It's like, you're close to maybe not leaving, but like you're close to just being a fully fledged person that then I have to recontextualize. Yes, I'm always your parent, but you're
now
not a
you're
child
I'm
anymore.
I'm not responsible for you anymore in a
Right.
day-to-day life.
And I can't do everything.
I can't do everything, and I can't
for you every
protect you
second of the
anymore,
day.
yeah.
And I think it's genuinely scary. And
Yeah.
I think
She did a really good job.
Tao, she
ate it
eats
up.
the fucking
It's
hell
the
out of this
and
role.
you know what? She
Both
looked
of them
fucking,
do.
She looked fucking glam every single fucking episode.
And she wore those fucking outfits.
She wore fucking
Sweater
dresses to
bed.
It's 10 p.m.
Lounging around at home in a sweater dress.
Yeah, just like,
bitch, you better eat. She ate.
her
it
hair
up.
looked great the entire time. Always had the best makeup. Always had the best earrings. Like,
Yeah.
didn't need for all that, but she was like, no, I will serve glam.
Yeah.
You know, she's known for being glamorous. She's known for being opulent as an icon in the local drag scene.
In the local LA drag scene. Yeah. You can tell what day we recorded this.
All roads lead to Tin and Gun.
All roads lead to Tin and Gun.
I just have to start. This man started acting on screen when we first watched that first episode. And it was, you could see our pupils changed into heart shapes.
Yeah.
I was
100%.
like, it gave me the same feeling of seeing Ohm for the first time in Bad Buddy, where I was like,
100%.
this person is beaming through the screen. I feel like I'm watching him in front of me right now.
I'm receiving. I'm holding space. I'm receiving. He's so good. I don't know how to explain.
Who the fuck is this man? Where did you find this man?
I wish I could explain it. He is so indelible.
Yeah.
He is so. It's so. There is a lot of goofiness of this show.
Yes.
Right? This show is still a Thai comedy at the end of the day. There's zany, goofy,
Yes.
sounds. They do broad comedy, all of it. But these two are so good at bringing it in and making it so intimate.
Making you remember that it's still a love story between them.
Between the two. I can't even. Guys.
It's crazy.
Guys.
It's so crazy. They're so good. Which at first I was
I'm gonna
really
start crying just thinking about it.
At first I was really scared about Gemini because I was like, I don't know if he can match just this oozing charisma from
This is
Fourth.
why the first episode switched to episode 2 is so fucking incredible.
The switch when all of a sudden, rather than trying to match it, like I'm gonna out, really like Bad Buddy, I'm gonna enemies to lovers it through by him having to fully be a pile of goo, like full mush.
He turns into he is Kurosawa.
Yes.
From Cherry Magic. They are the same character. It's the
Yeah.
same stock
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Which is like the pining secret lover.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was like, wow, I am all like night and day. The second episode, Gemini, every small detail that Gemini did that I was like, oh, it was so awkward. And like, I'm not believing that
I
he's.
literally am crying right now.
know.
I actually started crying.
I'm not believing him that in episode 1. I was like, because he's not.
He's acting.
That. He's not that. He is awkward. He's goofy. He's like, oh my God.
I can't. Guys.
I don't know where the fuck they find these people. I swear to God.
Well, because immediately I picked up, I was like, Fourth is really giving me Neo.
Totally.
Like Neo style comedy.
Yes. So I was like, yeah, it's like,
A little sarcastic, a little smirky,
I know I'm kind of doing this goofy.
yeah.
But it's like to us, but then also to the
Knowing.
character, to the person he's sharing the scene with.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think what he really, what they both really excel in this series is the way they connect on such a way that feels incredibly believable without the use. They do not have a lot of skinship. They do not have any. They have 2 kisses in the entire show, and let's one quick little peck, which is whoa, and then later they have a couple in the finale, and then there's a couple cheek kisses, but overall they don't kiss, they don't hold hands, they don't hug a bunch,
Yes.
but they stare at each other and the world is just them, and somehow the show, I'm genuinely getting so emotional about this. The show really captures the feeling of having a high school crush in like the best way. I'm so emotional. I'm out of control. Bitch.
And it's musical.
The music is great. The soundtrack is great.
It's sweet, but then like it's got this like acoustic chill vibe. I was like, oh, I did not expect
this. I think the direction of the show is so good. I think like I had, it's not a perfect 10 out of 10,
right?
But I do think it's like incredibly warm, incredibly charming. I think they really put their whole prezussies into it. And I'm just like so glad I watched this.
I know.
And it's so clearly a like comfort style show.
Yeah.
Because it is a show where you can be like, I don't love this scene, I can like skip it.
Yes.
But there's so much to love outside of
There's so
like,
much to love from episodes
things.
1 to 8 and 12. Yeah, totally.
Even, I will say, even in 9, 10, and 11, there were moments that I still was like, oh, this is
totally,
bringing me back in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, the two of them are like a match made in heaven. I don't know how to explain it. It really did remind me of Om Nanon.
Yeah.
And I don't want to bring up anything to stress people out, but it just like
the same magic that we felt when we first watched Bad
Yes.
Buddy, and we're like, they are like exuding off of the screen
yes.
in such a close personal way that I was like,
The thing that I
crazy.
was saying to you is I just like, I feel like you watch the show and you can tell the Gemini and Fourth, whoever they are, whatever they do, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. They really like each other.
yeah.
And like that fills in so much of like,
Like even seeing past like, Delulu ship, whatever, it's like they enjoy each other's company.
yes.
Yeah.
And like that's half the battle.
That
When the
is
whole
when
point
you're-
of the show is to look at each other and
yes, you
enjoy each
have
other's
to
company.
sell that to the audience that like there is no other option but to be together.
The scene where they're like laying, they like lay with the classic like the laying of the heads, which has to be its own way. And Tinn finally says, "I like someone in the music club," and like it's said but unspoken as
Right.
to who it is, and so they do draw it out a little bit more. Okay, over the next couple of
Like
episodes,
who is it? Who is it?
but from that point on, it's so. I think the realization too that like we didn't even talk about is like I think it's episode 3. I don't remember which episode it is, but there's a moment where you realize Gunn has also liked Tinn this whole time.
Yeah. He's
And
like connecting the dots of like, oh, I think I like him.
Yes, and it's just they play it
It's
so
after
well.
it's after passing the exams. Because they
Yes.
do it
Yes.
they copy it at the end of episode 1 of Our Sky.
Okay. What is better? The prom the dream sequence dance, which made me absolutely lose
your
my
shit.
mind.
Yeah.
Or the dance at the end. The like bringing him up on
Bringing
stage.
him up on oh my God. Well, there's your answer. No, you're so embarrassing. You are embarrassing in front of all these people. You are so embarrassing right now.
I thought the show was so bad that I'm crying about it. I don't think I've ever seen a worse show.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, probably the finale, because literally mere minutes before that happened, they were fully like hate crimed by a teacher,
Okay, we
by
have
an
to talk
employed faculty member.
We have to talk about the finale of the show. We already touched on the fact that we did not think it was a show that was going to be about homophobia. And it's not a show about homophobia,
No.
I want to be clear.
But they bring it up almost like as a reality check at the end.
Yes.
To be like, okay, school's done, hot wave's done. It's now all about like what's gonna happen next. And
Yeah.
like that to I think bring up the fears of Tinn's mom of like, okay, this is gonna be the reality.
It's
that
her
he's gonna be
test.
sending.
They have
It's
to
her
test her
yeah.
to prove
Which
like that
makes
she
me
can.
really think she's the protagonist of the show, girl. She's one of them.
I think Gunn is the true protagonist of the show.
Absolutely.
Because Gemini kind of doesn't. I'm sorry, Tinn doesn't really change throughout the show. He kind of starts in the same place he ends it.
Yes.
Just with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Whereas Gunn, I think, learns about failure and learns about like love and learns about like accepting, like being a leader. He learns a lot.
Yes,
honestly,
totally.
it's like a full coming of age story for Gunn's
for
character.
him, yeah.
But I would say the next character who learns something is definitely Tinn's mother.
I know.
Which is incredible.
Yes, but there is a full faculty because they have
a kiss outside.
They kiss outside. People catch it. It starts to become a ship. Like goes viral on whatever of like, oh, my school president, my school president. But then this counselor all of a sudden is like, wow, I really didn't expect her from Tinn because he's so macho.
No,
blah, blah.
he said Gunn because he's the leader of the band.
Oh.
He was like, oh, I thought he was like a rock star, and he's just like some sissy. That's not the exact words, by the way.
Yes, but basically. And
implied.
then they are overheard. They hear this counselor say, the counselor comes out and he's first is like apologizes, like, oh, I don't mean it. But then he kind of is like, well, you guys, like, you know what I mean.
I actually
right?
think the way that he goes through every cycle of being like
denial,
trying to get out of it,
and
he
tries
then
everything.
owns it at the. I mean, like, I kind of loved that they were
it's like, oh, it's a villain. It's a bad person. This is a bad person.
Yeah.
This is a one example of like who.
And he's giving you all the things people would say
to
make it be like, oh, it's actually fine because blah, blah, blah. And none of it's fine.
Yeah. And you think it leads up that Tinn has had enough and he's going to punch him.
To protect his boyfriend.
And guess what, Diva?
It was Kajurgle.
Kajorn,
who is kind of a fucking sad sack the whole show. A little bit.
It's very Adam, actually.
See,
this would be you, and if you were in student body president, if you were in student council,
why is he like this? He's so.
You would
mean
be
to
the
me.
one to be like, actually, they did drink sake, so that is a violation of chapter blah blah blah. Kajorn finds out that it's all been a hoax, that Tinn ran for school president just so he could save the music club, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And Kajorn was basically like, I came to serve.
Yes.
This was my duty to serve the student body.
Right.
And so you
were nefarious.
You've trampled on the legacy of the student council.
Yes. How dare.
So he quits. But while this whole interaction is happening, because the counselor follows them into the student council room, he's still in there because he's packing stuff up. And he overhears it, and he just like can't bear to hear just how horrible this counselor is being. It's the worst thing. It's
vile.
Truly, it's so vile what he's saying. That Kajurgle.
But I think the show is so explicit in being like, this is a monster.
Wrong. This is clearly
a bad person.
Yes.
Yeah. It's great.
Kajorn comes out and just gives him a knuckle sandwich.
Good.
Extra knuckle.
Yeah.
And then
no mayo.
And then when it is brought to the principal's attention, she basically is like, at the end of the day, it's still my fucking son, you absolute piece of shit.
Well, because they really try to drive home the fact that at school she's very like
first.
He's not my son. He's the school president. He's a student here. Da da da. And so for her to use this as like
the mom card,
to
be like, no, this is a step too far.
This is nepotism. This is when nepotism is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
To protect my gay little son.
Oh my god.
It's just mothers and their gay sons. I mean, we've talked about it.
There's something there.
Obviously, we've seen it in Love in the Big City, where it's very complicated.
So complicated.
But it's all complicated. Even here, like, there is complications. Like, she's trying to be a principal and a mom, and this
wouldn't happen. I mean, that's the point that the guy makes, is like, you're doing this when your mom's at like the peak of her career.
Yes.
You could bring her
career down
by doing this.
But yeah, by doing this.
By
choosing to be gay.
By having a boyfriend and kissing him and whatever.
In public or whatever.
In public, which is like, okay, what are the straight people doing?
Yeah.
But she doesn't use that opportunity. Yeah, I just think it's like handled really well. I think I was very shocked that was how they were going to end the series. But I think like it really, I don't know, it drives it all home. I think it's good. So
they perform at prom. And Gunn does sing the song to Tinn. And like he goes down to him and he sings it to him and then they come up together and like it's this like thing of Tinn his mom finally seeing Tinn sing for the first time finally after that traumatic event when he was a child.
Yeah.
And there is a moment of Tinn's everyone looks at the principal like, well, can we keep singing or whatever?
Well, there's a moment where two older faculty members
are
like, ugh, gross, and look at her and she's like, woo!
Yes.
Yay, slay.
Yes. Yeah. That's my gay son up there.
I genuinely think of all the GMM shows I've watched, this is my favorite finale.
Oh, absolutely.
I just think it's like almost handled so well that I immediately forgave episodes 9 through 11.
I think it's just...
And I want to be clear, I don't think 9 through 11 are like unwatchable.
They were just like the weakest.
It's like clunky.
Yeah. I think by doing the slow burn and the long game of Tinn's mom, it really pays off in the finale in a way that it also finishes the circle of the whole show. Yeah. Like thematically, all of a sudden, this is what it was all about.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
That I was like, ooh, it just pays off really well.
I think so too. I think it starts so strong. I think it starts so strong.
Yeah.
And then I really think it nails the ending.
Yeah.
And there's genuinely only a couple episodes where I was like, meh. Everything else
stretching
I was
it
like,
out.
I'm on board for everything. Even with kind of the very silly ways they were getting out of kissing. Right. Like that happens a bunch on the show.
But it's like those were all done in order to pay like tribute to like BLs. Like it was like they were like
it's a BL show for BL lovers.
Yes.
Who is your MVP? Ultimate MVP.
Ultimate MVP. Yeah, I think I was just so gagged at how well Tinn's mom's character was written and paid off that I can't shake it off at the end.
The finale was so
sealed
good.
The deal.
For sure. So you're giving it to Tao.
I'm giving it to Tao. Yes,
Tinn's mom.
Tinn's mom. The principal.
Then I will give mine to both Gemini and Fourth.
Absolutely.
I simply...
It's funny because
I already cried about it, so I will not cry again.
There were moments where I was like, wow, it's Fourth. It's Fourth. And then there are equally the same amount of moments that I'm like, oh, it's Gemini.
It's Gemini. And I honestly, I'm going to say this. Gemini is so good in the R Sky episodes.
Oh.
Like, I think he... leaps and bounds better than Fourth.
I think so too. Fourth does a good job.
A harder job,
but
though.
Yes.
Because that type of role is not in Fourth's wheelhouse. Of the like serious.
I totally agree. The entire time I was watching R Sky, I was like, Gemini is nailing this. Satang is nailing it. Like
Satang
in R Sky
doing an impression of Winnie as Win
so good,
is
guys.
so incredible.
It's so good
that I was like, this actually may have saved Soundwind to me. This may have done it. He's so funny.
Yeah.
And I just think, Gemini Fourth.
Yeah.
It's genuinely like watching magic. It's chemistry without there being a reason for it. Like it's purely
they're standing next to each other and I feel that they are.
It's electricity.
Yeah.
It is like the drawings in Heartstopper of being like the leaves or whatever. It is that feeling when you're watching them.
It's like magnetic energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are just so good together. And I just like, I might watch. I know people didn't love My Love Mix-Up, especially comparing it to the original.
But you want to watch it just to see them.
I might just watch it on my own just to watch them because They are. I would watch them bake a cake together. I would watch them do anything together just to like watch them interact because I think they just have like such affection for each other that really comes through on screen.
Yeah, totally.
And fourth, going back to that conversation of like he's like he has a naturalism on camera that you cannot teach.
No, that's X Factor. That is like
He is so comfortable.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't feel, I don't want to say it doesn't feel overacted, but it doesn't feel like a performance.
Mm-hmm.
And where do they find these people? Where do they find them?
Where are they?
And I want to shout out Gunn's eyebrows. Or I'm sorry, Fourth's eyebrows as well.
Yeah.
Gunn is the character. It's hard because we're also covering Not Me, which has
it's also Gunn as
playing
the
black and
actor.
white.
Yeah.
Oy.
Big,
Any final thoughts? Is
Yes.
there anything else you needed to say?
So then what is your tier ranking?
Oh my God. Our Matrix.
Our tier and Matrix.
Tier Matrix. Okay. I'm keeping it in syndication.
Not necessarily scrubbing your memory.
No,
But syndication. Comfort Watch. Golden Girls.
Yes. I'm keeping this in syndication.
Yeah.
I already know the scenes I will be rewatching. Basically any scene that happened at the pool,
Oh, yeah.
I will
absolutely.
be rewatching.
Yeah.
The scene in the umbrella with the umbrellas, I will be rewatching. Too many to mention.
Yeah, I agree.
That's yours?
Yeah. Matrix.
Okay, this is made for the straights.
This is for the straights.
But I think it's like trying to tell the straight something.
Yes.
Like it's still like acknowledging that gay people exist.
Yeah.
There are some BLs where fully that's just not what's happening.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
they just happen to be two
Yeah.
guys. But this is like it does engage with that. So I wouldn't say it's like fully over
Fully
on the
over
right,
straight,
but it's like
but it shows that like
on the
yes,
right.
this is what happened. Wig.
and this is
It
this
feels
is
more
tough.
It feels more plot than character.
It does.
Even though Gunn does have that, his coming of age, it's not a coming of age
story.
BL.
No, it's not.
It's not a coming of age story.
No.
He just experiences a coming of age.
Yeah. I would say, I would probably put it on the more on the plot
sector.
side, but it's not like super far over.
Yeah.
But yeah. I would I hope Gemini, Fourth, Mark, Ford, Winnie, Satang, anybody who's watching, if you are, we're
I
having
just
a
want
great
you to know
day.
that we had a great.
We had a great time. I want to thank you for 12 weeks of fun.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God. Jesus
sorry. It's not the show that I would start it's not like this is you want to intro to BL, I would give you this. Like I don't know if I'd start someone
Have
with
we
this one.
recapped a show that is that? I used to say Cherry Magic, but one of our friends did watch Cherry Magic as their first BL and didn't like it because nothing happened.
He was on the pod. Oh no.
Yeah, Terry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Terry. Well, David didn't like it either.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just for us,
What would I recommend as like a BL? I guess this is
the closest,
This is
I think.
representative of the genre for sure.
Yes, yeah.
But I think I might
The goofiness might be a hard sell for people, which is really interesting because I think like once you realize that like, oh, we're leaning into full rom.
I don't know if I would ever
com.
start. Maybe this is
You wouldn't start with JMTV.
Maybe I wouldn't start with a Thai. Maybe I'd start with a Japanese.
I think Japanese feels more like a good segue into just like the more of the prestige TV that we're
used
in.
to.
Yeah. Or we've been in. That feels a little bit more like
Because I think like the average American is gonna be like, whoa, this style of comedy is like it's
Broad.
really broad. I'm really used to it
Yes,
now,
yeah.
but like if you were to go from like The Office to this, like, holy hell.
Yeah. It's almost like, am I watching SNL? Like, what's going on?
Right. It's very sketch comedy.
It's sketch, yeah.
So that's why I'd probably go for...
I mean, I think the segue is always like a KBL because K-dramas is getting more and more like monolithic culture because it's on Netflix and yeah, it's getting more and more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be like Adam and start with Chocolate Milkshake.
I would never. No, I would never recommend someone start with Chocolate Milkshake because the premise is so crazy that they would immediately be like, is this about furries? And it's not.
It's not.
But it's not about furries.
Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah.
So.
Because we contain multitudes. Well, if you loved the show, then maybe you'd want to watch us love these shows. And you can do that on the Patreon. Patreon.com/boyslove. The Bob tier gets their own show. This was the show that they picked. So now they have voted for a new show. And we will be watching... My personal weatherman. So we are now just watching BLs that start with my.
Yes. Yep. Then My Beautiful Man, then My Love Mix Up, both versions. That'll at least get us through the rest of the year.
Sure. So there you go. It's the my year. So we'll be watching My Personal Weatherman. If you want to see Adam not cry, but really get beat red.
I'll be crying from somewhere.
Something will be wet.
I'm gonna go crazy during the show.
I'm so excited. I fucking love that show. I mean, this is gonna be the most romance trope I think that we've done.
Like
hard romance where it's like cold man and
dainty lady
and dainty boy, like literally, like ooh.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So if you want to watch My Personal Weatherman, head on over to patreon.com/boyslove. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
You can't just copy Trixie. You know that, right? You can't just copy it.
I love it.
But I guess she's not hosting Pit Stop right now, so...
That's true. Goodbye.
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.